is so key to our future and coming up with new ideas. And crisis always sparks opportunity. The same word for crisis in Japanese is the same word for opportunity. So in the face of that, we have a company that has invented a mask, an inexpensive mask that you can wear, and it does a couple of really cool things. The sea mask, it's called. The sea mask will not only keep the virus or the particles from getting out, but it will amplify voices. One of the things I always grouse about, the fact that anytime you put a mask on, it feels like somebody's putting a sock in your mouth. So it'll amplify voices. But here's the coolest part. As it's amplifying voices, it has a Bluetooth connection to your smartphone. And it will translate your voice in up to 8 different languages. How amazing is that? 8 different languages. I don't know if I can get a quick one here. David, you're going to have to hang on. We'll answer the mask question because I've run out of time. We're up against a hard break this hour. Mike Opelka with you on Daybreak. I'm sitting in for Drew today. We'll talk more about masks. I also have some really important news about what's going on in the story of Sally Yates and her testimony. And we'll talk mail-in voting with somebody from the Trump campaign. All kinds of stuff happening. 239-479-5592. It's Daybreak without Drew Steele on 92.5 Fox News.
This is Daybreak, 92.5 Fox News.
You know the problem in Washington? Too many politicians are full of should. They should keep promises, should serve the people, should avoid corruption. But when it's time to deliver, it's just a load of should. Then along comes Donald J. Trump, and the D.C. insiders, they lose their should. Byron Donalds is a lot like Trump that way. Donalds is willing to shake things up. You could take Trump's word for it.
I want to thank Representative Donalds. He's got a tremendous future ahead of him.
Now Byron Donalds is running for Congress. Donalds fought for low taxes in Tallahassee. He'll keep fighting to protect your paycheck in Congress. Donalds backs term limits. And Donalds stands with Trump to defend our police. Conservative, Republican, Byron Donalds for Congress. He'll make a difference in Washington. No should. Paid for by Club for Growth Action. Clubforgrowthaction.org and not authorized by any candidate or candidates committee. Club for Growth Action is responsible for the content of this advertising.
Lee County Commissioner Ray Sandelli has the business experience and conservative principles we need on our county commission. And Governor Ron DeSantis agrees. When Governor DeSantis appointed Ray Sandelli to the county commission, he said Ray's great business and military background will be of benefit to the community. And he has not let us down. Ray Sandelli is committed to continue working with Governor DeSantis to fight for clean water, to rebuild our economy, and to bring new jobs to Lee County. A Navy veteran, Ray Sandelli was an officer, aviator, and member of the prestigious Blue Angel flight demonstration team. And as a businessman, his career spanned for more than 40 years from coast to coast. Ray Sandelli knows what it takes to create jobs and grow an economy. He stands for lower taxes that puts more money in your pocket and less regulations to get government out of the way of job creators. Voting by mail has begun. Send in your ballot today with a vote for Ray Sandelli for Lee County Commission District 3.
Paid by Ray Sandelli, Republican, for Lee County Commission District 3.
Summer seems even brighter when you've been inside a while. It's time to drive again with Honda, KBB.com's 2020 Best Value brand. You could get a great deal on the 2020 Accord or 2020 Civic with financing as low as 1.9% APR on select models. Visit the Honda Summer Clearance event today.
See your Southwest Florida Honda dealers or log on southwestfloridahondadealers.com.
For well-qualified buyers, see dealer for financing details based on 2020 brand image from Kelly Blue, but visit KBB.com for more information.
92.5 WFSX Estero. It's 7 o'clock on Southwest Florida's News and Talk Station, 92.5 Fox News.
This Wink News Update is presented by Lee Auto Group. Find your perfect vehicle at lee-cars.com.
Now, this is a Wink News Update.
I'm Lindsay Sablon with Wink News. Today, family and friends will start saying goodbye to fallen firefighter Tony Christensen. Christensen died from COVID-19 on Tuesday. A public viewing starts at noon at Gendron Funeral Home in Fort Myers. The Fort Myers Beach mayor says the Margaritaville Resort project is now back on track. The project's been delayed for several years because of lawsuits claiming the plan was unconstitutional and would have a negative impact on the area. Yesterday, the plaintiff in the latest lawsuit agreed to drop the suit after the two sides came to an agreement. Hendry County became the first Southwest Florida school district to start the year completely online. Superintendent Paul Paletti says he didn't take this call lightly, but he's worried about his teachers, many of whom have underlying health conditions. Collier County deputies say they caught Philippus Batsios red-handed with thousands of pictures of nude children. Deputies found evidence he took a picture up a child's dress at a North Naples store back in October. Investigators say there could be more victims. Batsios was already in jail after being convicted of taking pictures of a woman showering in Lee County. If you think you're a victim or have any information, deputies want to talk to you. The Collier County School District says about 58% of its students are planning to return to school on campus August 31st. The remainder are enrolled in virtual options. The district says high school teachers will report to schools daily regardless of their instructional model. A hacker attacked the Pay Center for Girls donor database. The organization contacted its donors to tell them about the ransomware attack that happened back in May. They say the database also helps other nonprofits. The Pay Center for Girls says it has no reason to believe the sensitive personal information of donors has been breached or misused. I'm Lindsay Sablon with Wink News.
Wink News traffic.
A crash reported in Immokalee at West Main Street, just near Hancock Street. Not causing any major backups for right now, but you will have to tap on your brakes. Also, if you are heading out in North Fort Myers, there is a crash reported at Pirates Bay and North Tamiami Trail. No delays as of right now. Hit and run crash here as well. If you are heading southbound towards Pine Island Road, just make sure to use lots of extra caution. That's up to the minute traffic. I'm Sabrina Katz. Wink News now.
Wink Weather Authority.
Rinse, repeat, another round of scattered showers and storms in the forecast for today with a high temperature of 92 and our heat index over 100. More scattered storms Friday and all the way into the weekend, which by that point looks like the majority of our rain chances would be by the afternoon and evening, so make those plans early if you want to stay dry. It's also going to be even hotter, high of 94 with our heat index in the triple digits with more of our typical August weather, scattered storms and heat into next week too. With Wink News, I'm meteorologist Matt Devitt, the Weather Authority.
Wink News at the top and bottom of the hour.
92.5 Fox News.
We are going to make America great again.
Right, all along.
Hi, I'm Kyle Lee with Lee Auto Group. We sell more low-mileage cars and trucks than anyone in Southwest Florida because we have more. Over 300 vehicles in stock with locations in Fort Myers and Tampa. See for yourself at lee-cars.com.
Get a 2019 Buick Encore SUV with only 584 miles for $20,000. Practically a new car for thousands less. Or a 2004 Buick Park Avenue with only 56,000 miles. Florida condo car for $6,500. With over 300 vehicles, visit lee-cars.com.
Don't forget the dash.
County Commissioner Ray Sandelli's business experience and military background earned him Governor Ron DeSantis' appointment to the Lee County Commission. And Ray Sandelli is committed to working together with Governor DeSantis to rebuild our economy. He's fighting to protect our jobs and keep our businesses open. As a principled conservative, he knows our path to recovery lies with lower taxes and less regulations. County Commissioner Ray Sandelli brings 40 years of conservative business experience to Lee County. He knows what it takes to create jobs, grow economies, and isn't afraid to make the tough decisions. That's why Governor Ron DeSantis appointed him to the Lee County Commission, and Ray hasn't let him down. A naval officer and aviator, Ray Sandelli spent 8 years in the United States Navy and was a member of the prestigious Blue Angels flight demonstration team. He proudly served our nation and proudly stands for our flag. We can count on him to support our law enforcement. Ray Sandelli is a veteran, businessman, and conservative fighting for us on the County Commission. Paid electioneering communication paid for by SWFL Jobs Alliance. 1375 Jackson Street, Fort Myers, Florida, 33901.
At Mr. Sparky, we're America's on-time electrician. Flickering lights and hot switches can be annoying, but they can also signal a major problem, or worse, an electrical emergency. So play it safe and leave it to the experts at Mr. Sparky. We'll get it done right and get it done safely. Call now for $59 off any electrical repair.
You don't have to put up with any malarkey. Call 888-8
Limitations and restrictions may apply. Independently owned and operated. Licensed in the respective state or county.
Dell supports America's entrepreneurs during Small Business Month with all you need to office anywhere. Save up to 45% on computers and servers with Intel Core processors. Upgrade to new modern devices with Windows 10. Plus save on top brand tech while enjoying free shipping on everything. And special financing with Dell Business Credit. Call 877-ASK-DELL to talk to a Dell Technologies advisor who can help you find the tech that's just right. That's 877-ASK-DELL or visit Dell.com/smallbusinessdeals.
They had snuck in the night and committed these murders. Nobody had a clue about who or a why.
You got 8 people dead, and things like that don't usually happen in a small town. I mean, they don't usually happen anywhere, and it was just a real shock.
4+ years after these murders, and they couldn't have written a more sinister story than what's playing out in Pike County, Ohio right now.
Listen to the Piketon Massacre wherever you get your podcasts.
From 92.5 Fox News.
It's the stuff Southwest Florida is talking about.
It's Daybreak. Now, here's the guy at the epicenter of what's important to those of us who live in Southwest Florida. Drew Steele.
Not quite Drew Steele today. It's Mike Opelka. And yes, it's Opelka, not Michael Pelka, which sometimes happens. I get it. Mike Opelka, happy to be here, thrilled to be here. Drew will be back tomorrow. Just a one-day guest appearance. And so many things to get to. My God, there's stuff going on today, and we will get to all of it, as well as the issue that I was talking about before we went away, and that some airlines are banning the masks with the ventilators, the holes in them, I guess. I guess they figure the particulates could get out. And we'll talk about that. We're also going to get into the Sally Yates testimony. I need to get more into Joe Biden and Biden's mental decline continuing. Joe Rogan has noticed it. He's talked about it. Oh, my God, it's crazy. There are woke Olympics nominations we have to get to. And the Kindergarten Cop, the great Arnold Schwarzenegger movie from decades ago, Kindergarten Cop is getting the cancel culture treatment. And so I need help from a friend of mine from Hollywood. We'll get my buddy Nancy J., who's an actual working film critic, big-time Hollywood person, to weigh in on that, on Ellen DeGeneres, because there's news. There's so much going on today. But we were talking about the masks before I went away, and I was thrilled that a company, a Japanese company, actually a startup, has developed a mask they say will amplify your voice, because that's always the problem. You put on the mask and it's like this. I would like to talk to you about... So the mask wearing is bad. The amplification of voice and translation is going to be a reality, and they say it's going to be very inexpensive. So stay tuned for this mask. David held on during the break because David, and typical of this audience, has information that will help the host. David, welcome to Daybreak.
Morning. How you doing?
I'm good, sir. What? Can you clarify or help me understand what the heck's going on with the masks? Or,
yes.
Or do you have the same question? Go ahead, then. The floor is yours.
I work in a hospital, and there are all kinds of N95 masks, and that some of them operate differently. But what happens with those masks is it works as a check valve. So when you're drawing in your air, it closes and forces your air to go through the filtration of the mask, the material part of the mask, which is about 95% of that mask. When you exhale, that check valve opens and allows your exhale to escape easier, but it is not filtered on the way out. So if you have someone who doesn't know it but has the disease, they could be blowing that out into the airplane, not knowingly. That's how those masks work.
That's a big deal. Then that would be a problem. That's kind of defeating the purpose of keeping asymptomatic people from spreading the virus. David, are you in the medical front lines, or are you in the administrative end of things?
We're in support staff.
Oh, well, that's great.
So we wear them every day.
Good. Well, we so appreciate you, all of you who are in the medical world trying to keep us safe and trying to deal with this thing. I'm a firm believer in technology and science, and I think we're going to get through this. It certainly has been a vexing problem for everyone, and I hope we can stop the politicization of it. That's not easy to say. But thank you, David. Say thank you to all the people in your hospital for us. We appreciate you. And there he goes. Thank you, sir. Kelly is on the phone on the road this morning, checking in. Kelly, you are upset with Lindsey Graham today?
I think so. I listened to that interview, and I kept hearing him ask Sally Yates whether or not she knew the document was true or not. And that's the wrong question to ask. He needs to ask her if she verified it, because I think when you sign that document, it says you verified it. And if she said yes, then she needs to tell him who verified it for her. If she said no, she didn't verify it, then all he needs to do is turn her over to the Justice Department for prosecution for fraud.
Well, Kelly, you bring...
Who cares if she knew it was true or not?
Well, you bring up a good point, and there was some question about that, about the verification. It didn't come from Lindsey Graham. It was another Republican senator who asked her if she had in fact checked the verification of the dossier and the FISA court's request, and she kind of dodged that question a few times, and it got tense during that exchange. You're spot on right. But Lindsey Graham also was trying to hold a slightly more respectful hearing than we saw in the House. And while I want him to be as tough as possible, today is the last day of the Durham investigation. Today is the final day that Durham will be digging into this whole mess, and he's reportedly going to be interviewing Brennan. And so afterwards, and maybe I think by the end of the summer, by early September, we could see the report and maybe indictments. So while it wasn't as fulfilling as I wanted yesterday, Sally Yates did admit that she thought Comey went rogue in setting up that interview, but she also kind of towed the DOJ FBI party line on a lot of that stuff yesterday. It's swampy.
Yeah.
They're not going to turn on themselves that easily. So it was kind of an unsatisfying but not completely irritating day yesterday for me.
Okay, but like I said, it drove me crazy that you would not put her feet to the fire. The Republicans in the House do that, and I just don't understand why. The Democrats in the House do that when they have meetings or interrogations.
Yeah.
But the Republicans just want to play soft patty cake with them, and it's infuriating to us. And other people think the same way. Start putting people in jail.
Yeah, we'd like to see some people handcuffed and frog marched out of their offices. I certainly would like that. There was a lot of attention to people that falsified documents that are still getting paychecks from the FBI, which means they're getting paychecks from you and I, and that irritates me to no end. I don't understand why we just can't start firing people who, if you and I did that at our jobs, we would be on our butts before we knew it. So we're going to talk an hour from now with Tracy Beans, and Tracy is from Uncover DC, and she's got a deep dive on this that we'll get into. So
I wish I could hear you, but I'm going to lose you. I'm too far away.
All right. Well, actually, I'm going to move her up to 7:35. So we'll get Tracy Beans on here. But I appreciate you being there. Yeah, I think resolution will come. I'm with you, though. I want to see some arrests and some indictments, some actual real penalties for this. All right. I mentioned earlier that there was this insane story out of Oregon yesterday. A drive-in movie theater had scheduled a showing of Kindergarten Cop, the classic film from Arnold Schwarzenegger, a silly little film. And one person reportedly complained. And the 1990 movie has now been removed. We'll get into it. We'll talk about this. And there's some interesting things happening in show business. Disney did something yesterday that the rest of the entertainment industry is looking at. And it could be groundbreaking. It could be a big change in business. And because we want to look at all aspects of our life, not just the politics, we'll get into that. Plus, what the heck is going on with the Ellen DeGeneres show? It looks like it's canceled one day, and then suddenly a bunch of big names have come out in favor of Ellen DeGeneres and supporting her. We'll get into that as well. My friend Nancy J., who is a working Hollywood person, film critic, will join us just around the corner, as well as you can join us too. You can give us a holler and weigh in on anything today. 239-479-5592, 239-479-5592. It's Daybreak without Drew Steele, but with me, Mike Opelka on 92.5 Fox News.
There's the left way, and then there's the right way. 92.5 Fox News, the conservative, smart, right voice of Southwest Florida.
I know you care about what's in your water. I'm not sure if it concerns you at all, but it should. Some of the things that you find in your home's water. Well, here's the thing. Why not call Max, my friend at Pelican Water Systems, now part of Pentair, a leader in safe, sustainable drinking water, and find out what's really in your home's water right now. Schedule your free Pentair water test. And for city or well water, you're going to see it. You're going to love the way your water tastes from every faucet with your new Pentair water system, the salt-free alternative that's certified, guaranteed to reduce 99% of scale and 97% of chlorine, and no lugging in bags of salt. They have the Advantage Salt system as well. It can tackle even the hardest water. So you can call Max, your local expert. He's a trained Pentair water specialist. You could do that now and find out the right solution for your water. And there's never any pressure. So give Pelican a call. 239-880-7799. That's 239-880-7799. Book your free water test online at PelicanWestFL.com, and you can find their best summer deals right now in the same location online at PelicanWestFL.com.
This is your Republican State Senator and Senate Majority Leader Kathleen Pasadomo, and I asked for your support and your vote for Bibiana Podestad for State Representative District 105. Bibiana is a part of the next generation of conservative leaders who will keep Florida's Republican Party on the right track. I have no doubt that she will serve Floridians with character and integrity. I trust her to stand up for our Republican values and provide the leadership at the State House that our residents deserve. And I ask that you join me in voting for Bibiana Podestad for State Representative.
This is former Congressman Lincoln Diaz-Balart. I'm proud to share with you my endorsement of Bibiana Podestad for State Representative. Bibiana is a dynamic and brilliant leader of admirable values and a true calling for public service. I know she will make us proud in Tallahassee. Please join me in supporting Bibiana Podestad for State Representative in our Republican primary.
Political advertising paid for and approved by Bibiana Podestad, Republican for State Representative, District 105.
Are you ready to embark on your healthcare journey? At Millennium Physician Group, we want you, our patient, to be in good health always. That's why we created our Destination Health New Patient Program. It's all about partnering with your primary care provider to achieve the best healthcare outcome for you. Now, are you ready for the journey of your life? Connect with Millennium Physician Group and be on your way to Destination Health. Call 844-CALL-MPG. 844-CALL-MPG, millenniumphysician.com.
Hi, Matt Caldwell here, and we've reached the silly season in politics. It's amazing President Trump ever won any election, considering so many ads tell us that everyone is a never-Trumper. True never-Trumpers left the Republican Party years ago. Fact is, it's the candidates with nothing to offer that are still beating this dead horse. I'm Matt Caldwell, and I'm proud of my record. I wasn't afraid to stand against socialist Charlie Crist when he tried to drag our state to the left. I've stood against wasteful tax increases and bucked leadership to defend the Second Amendment. I've championed term limits and never bowed to environmental radicals. There's no doubt that I've made some mistakes along the way. Who hasn't? But I've been willing to lead the fight, and I'm not stopping now. I'm Matt Caldwell. When you mark your ballot this August, make sure you vote for the candidates that have actually delivered for this community. That's who President Trump and our republic need most of all. Paid by Matt Caldwell, Republican for State Committeeman.
This is 92.5 Fox News.
It is 92.5 Fox News and Daybreak without Drew Steele. My buddy Drew will be back here tomorrow. Your buddy Drew will be back here tomorrow. In the interim, I am here hanging out, and you can be too, 239-479-5592. I will take nominations for the Woke Olympics all morning. I have a nomination for a gold medal on that. As I mentioned, we're also going to get into the story of Sally Yates' testimony in about 20 minutes from now with our buddy Tracy Beans from Uncover DC. But the story that really irked me yesterday and kind of tripped my trigger was the cancel culture story of the Oregon drive-in pulling Arnold Schwarzenegger's Kindergarten Cop. And then on top of that, there was news about the Ellen DeGeneres show, which, depending on what day you're following it, the show is canceled. It's not canceled. James Corden's going to replace her. She's going away forever. She's a horrible person. Hollywood hates her. Now Hollywood loves her. And then Disney did something remarkable in the world of business. And I think it's interesting to watch entertainment because they will also be innovating in this time of the COVID-19 84 virus. And we should follow these kinds of innovations because they are great lessons for all of us. So my friend, award-winning film critic, and just all-around fabulous person, Nancy J., has agreed to join us and kind of explain what the heck is going on in Hollywood, because I think she's got a red phone that rings every time something big happens. Nancy, welcome to Daybreak. How are you, my friend?
Oh, I'm fine. Thank you very much. Good Thursday morning. Do you know, Mike, almost every major 2020 theatrical release is still left on the calendar and is in a state of limbo. So now we've got all this content, but there's nowhere to put it. Movies are scheduled for release, have been delayed now. The next coming months, no really big screens, except Warner Brothers still holding to a September 3rd release in whatever theaters are open in the United States of Tenet, the Christopher Nolan futuristic movie. But, unless it overperforms in our theaters, who cares, right? I mean, we're all going to be home, and does $30 sound that much to be able to watch Disney Mulan at home gathered with the family?
So you've covered a lot of ground there in a very short time, Nancy J., which I appreciate. The Hollywood has a backlog, a log jam, if you will, of movies that they have made that were produced and ready to go, and then the COVID-19 84 virus hit, and they were all sidelined because theaters are sidelined. And then we don't know if we're actually going to see this Tenet film. I'm not a person who's been anticipating this one and breathlessly awaiting it, so it doesn't bother me. But the Disney things are important to a lot of parents. And Mulan, the latest, was supposed to hit theaters, but now you're saying it's not going to be in theaters. It's going to be streamed. And how much are you going to have to pay to watch it at home?
$29.99, but that is over and above your monthly fee for the Disney Plus streaming service.
Wow. Are they going to release
seven?
Well, will it go to theaters
a month? Yeah.
Will it hit theaters at all?
I am saying it's going to hit theaters overseas, where video on demand and streaming isn't a factor. It's not as popular over there. So the plan is they're going to release it overseas, and perhaps, nothing's going to change in what, 2-3 weeks? I mean, no. So let's just say it's just going to be streaming in the States, and if you want to watch it, but $30, don't you spend $30 at the movie by the time you, your kids, the grandkids, whoever's going to go, and you got your popcorn and your Cokes. I mean, in some ways, it's kind of a deal.
Well, $30 is popcorn and soda. It's not even a ticket. So, yeah, you're right. We don't have a lot of time here, Nance. I want to get to this story out of Oregon. Kindergarten Cop gets canceled at a drive-in. Why?
Oh, my goodness gracious, because one of the people, I guess what they're describing her as one of the leftist protesters, has just said that it does not, it's not a family movie. It's one of the movies that, it makes positive fodder for cops and kids. Kids shouldn't have police officers in their schools and be watching that on the screen. This is a 30-year movie, Arnold Schwarzenegger. And, just so you'll know, it's had some controversy in the past. It's had edits before showing a woman being slapped in the face. There were some where the kindergartners hear someone say that these kids are horrible. They're like little terrorists. That was taken out after 9/11. So this is a controversial movie. And now 30 years later, this woman has forced this film festival that was going to show it at a drive-in for a family night to take it off the table. And they bowed to her demands.
One person denies everybody. This is the foot-stomping cancel culture that has been bred in the liberal Northwest. I'm sorry, Portland. You are a city with a lot of roses, but you're also a city with a lot of thorns, as far as I can see. Nancy J., we so appreciate you getting up early and giving us the update on the West Coast stuff. Some other time we'll talk about Ellen DeGeneres and the madness there. If you got 10 seconds. Okay, go ahead.
I do. The senior creatives and producers are back on the set of Ellen this week. So at least for today, it's a go.
So Jay Leno standing up and Ashton Kutcher standing up may have helped that. All right. Thanks, Nancy J. We appreciate you. Have a great rest of your day. Okay. And there she goes. Okay. And before I get out of here, if you watched the hearing yesterday, maybe you saw what Tracy Beans from Uncover DC saw with Sally Yates testifying in front of the Senate. We'll dive into it next on Daybreak without Drew Steele on 92.5 Fox News.
This is 92.5 Fox News.
You should be driving a Kia from Galliana Kia.
Why pay more for a used car or truck when Galliana Kia in Fort Myers can sell you a new car for less? 2020 Kia Forte LXS lease, just $49 per month. That's right, a new car for just $49 per month. 2020 Kia Rio, just $13,990. Yes, $13,990. Worried about your credit? Don't sweat it. Galliana Kia has lenders to get almost anyone approved. Plus, we'll take any trade, in any condition, even if you're upside down. Why? Why buy an overpriced used car when you can buy a new car for less? Brand new Kias, just $49 per month.
You should be driving a Kia from Galliana Kia.
At Galliana Kia, 1/2 mile south of Daniels Parkway on US 41 in Fort Myers. Open every day, including Sunday. Call 239-481-2600. GallianaCars.com. 24 months, 12,000 miles per year, $39.99 sign plus tax title dealer and acquisition fee. 0 security deposit with lender approval expires Monday.
Let's talk about Byron Donalds. Just the facts. Fact. Byron Donalds is a never-Trumper who has repeatedly mocked Donald Trump and his policies. Fact. Byron Donalds doesn't even live in the district he's running for. But it gets worse. Fact. A Trump-hating organization based in Washington is spending millions to buy the seat for him. These are the facts. Byron Donalds is a bought and paid-for never-Trumper. Paid for by Honesty America, not authorized by any candidate or any candidates committee.
Businesses are starting to bounce back. But what if you could do better than that? What if you could adapt, deliver, and succeed in new ways with new customers? At Comcast Business, we're committed to helping you not just bounce back, but bounce forward. That's why we're offering powerful and reliable internet and voice, now for only $35 each a month when you buy both and sign up for EcoBill and AutoPay with a 2-year agreement. It'll help you stay ahead with a network you can count on, stay connected with 24/7 support, and thrive with flexible solutions that work wherever you are. Call 1-800-501-6000 or go online today to find out more. Comcast Business. Offer ends 8/21/2020. Restrictions apply. New customers only with 35 megabits internet and 1 voice mobility line. Early termination fee applies. Enrollment in EcoBill and AutoPay required. Equipment, installation, taxes, and fees extra. Subject to change.
Building a dream takes hard work, discipline, determination.
Casey Asghar started with nothing, but his hard work created jobs. His discipline shaped a community. His determination built an American dream. Those same qualities built our nation. And to rebuild our economy, we need them now more than ever.
I'm Casey Asghar, and I approve this message. My family came to America to pursue the American dream. We owe it to our children to keep the dream alive.
Paid for by Casey Asghar for Congress.
Fox News.
Fox News, I'm Lillian Wu. There's still a search for the missing in Lebanon 2 days after the massive explosion, which killed at least 135 people and injured more than 5,000.
French President Emmanuel Macron arriving in Beirut with a message of solidarity. Urgent changes to the way Lebanon is run as a former French colony. Lebanese officials are blaming the disaster on a huge stockpile of explosive material at Beirut's port.
Fox's Simon Owen on Capitol Hill continuing talks over the new pandemic rescue package. Meanwhile, a report out this morning will tell us how many Americans are asking for jobless help. Analysts expecting some 1.4 million new claims filed last week. That means 55 million initial claims filed since the shutdowns began in mid-March. America's listening to Fox News.
This Wink News update is presented by Stadium Dry Cleaners. Online at stadiumdrycleaners.com.
Now, this is a Wink News update.
I'm Lindsay Sablon with Wink News. Today, family and friends will start saying goodbye to fallen firefighter Tony Christensen. Christensen died from COVID-19 on Tuesday. A public viewing starts at noon at Gendron Funeral Home in Fort Myers. The Fort Myers Beach mayor says the Margaritaville Resort project is now back on track. The project's been delayed for several years because of lawsuits claiming the plan was unconstitutional and would have a negative impact on the area. Yesterday, the plaintiff in the latest lawsuit agreed to drop the suit after the two sides came to an agreement. Hendry County became the first Southwest Florida school district to start the year completely online. Superintendent Paul Paletti says he didn't take this call lightly, but he's worried about his teachers, many of whom have underlying health conditions. Collier County deputies say they caught Philippus Batsios red-handed with thousands of pictures of nude children. Deputies found evidence he took a picture up a child's dress at a North Naples store back in October. Investigators say there could be more victims. Batsios was already in jail after being convicted of taking pictures of a woman showering in Lee County. If you think you're a victim or have any information, deputies want to talk to you. The Collier County School District says about 58% of its students are planning to return to school on campus August 31st. The remainder are enrolled in virtual options. The district says high school teachers will report to schools daily regardless of their instructional model. A hacker attacked the Pace Center for Girls donor database. The organization contacted its donors to tell them about the ransomware attack that happened back in May. They say the database also helps other nonprofits. The Pace Center for Girls says it has no reason to believe the sensitive personal information of donors has been breached or misused. I'm Lindsay Sablon with Wink News.
Wink News traffic.
A crash reported at Immokalee at West Main Street, just near Hancock Street. Not causing any major backups for right now, but you will have to tap on your brakes. Also, if you are heading out in North Fort Myers, there is a crash reported at Pirates Bay and North Tamiami Trail. No delays as of right now. Hit and run crash here, as well if you are heading southbound towards Pine Island Road. Just make sure to use lots of extra caution. That's up to the minute traffic. I'm Sabrina Katz. Wink News now.
Wink Weather Authority.
Rinse, repeat, another round of scattered showers and storms in the forecast for today with a high temperature of 92 and our heat index over 100. More scattered storms Friday and all the way into the weekend, which by that point looks like the majority of our rain chances would be by the afternoon and evening, so make those plans early if you want to stay dry. It's also going to be even hotter, high of 94 with our heat index in the triple digits, with more of our typical August weather, scattered storms and heat into next week too. With Wink News, I'm meteorologist Matt Devitt, the Weather Authority.
Wink News at the top and bottom of the hour.
More delightful than driving a convertible Bentley while wearing mink underpants. 92.5 Fox News. Right all along.
My name is Mike Gillimbardo, and I'm running to represent you in the Florida House.
It was a great honor back in 2016 when Donald Trump's team asked me to speak at his campaign rally right here in Southwest Florida. And it was an even bigger honor to meet the man that would become our next president. My message that day was about unifying our country behind Donald Trump. Today, my message is the same. Donald Trump is under constant attack and needs our support more than ever. I'm Mike Gilombardo, and I supported Donald Trump when he was a candidate, and I support him as our president. But unfortunately, my opponent's special interest friends are spending tens of thousands of dollars trying to tell you I don't support our president. And that's just not true. While I'm working to unite our party, he's working to divide it. I'm Mike Gilombardo. I'm a combat veteran who worked to help Donald Trump get elected. If you send me to the Florida House, I will ensure Donald Trump succeeds in keeping America great. Paid by Mike Gilombardo, Republican for the Florida House.
I'm here with Mike Roberts with Mortgage Warehouse. Mike, give me an update on mortgage rates. How are things looking?
There is a lot of talk about mortgage rates these days, and for good reason. Mortgage rates are nearing the lowest levels we've seen in years. Anyone that purchased their home in 2017 or 2018 should check into refinancing their mortgage to get a lower interest rate. Give us a call at 313-5000 or apply online at mortgagewarehouse.com. You'll work directly with one of our loan officers right here in Southwest Florida. Our no closing costs program allows you to refinance with no fees out of pocket, no fees rolled into your loan, and you won't pay any Florida mortgage taxes either. If you took out a mortgage in 2017 or 2018, or you have an interest rate above 4%, or you are paying mortgage insurance, also known as PMI, call us at 313-5000, that's 313-5000, or apply online at mortgagewarehouse.com.
Certain restrictions apply. NMLS ID 137154, Equal Housing Lender.
If you're far from water, you might think a flood can't happen to you. But the truth is, there are hidden risks that can leave your property vulnerable, like runoff from new development, changing weather patterns, and even wildfires. But if you have flood insurance, you have peace of mind knowing that you can recover faster. Protect the life you've built. Visit floodsmart.gov/storm to learn more. Brought to you by FEMA and its National Flood Insurance Program.
1 Hour Air Conditioning and Heating, always on time, where you don't pay a dime. Please visit us at www.onehourairnaples.com or call 844-1HOUR.
This is 92.5 Fox News.
It is Daybreak without Drew Steele on 92.5 Fox News. Of course, right all along. And if you want to join the conversation today, 239-479-5592. 239-479-5592 is the phone number. We're talking about everything. We're talking about possible debate moderators. The Trump campaign put out its list yesterday, was roundly mocked and yelled at on social media by the liberals, of course, because they have nothing else to do. And I have suggestions. I'm a big fan of Shannon Breams. We are journalism friends. We're not hanging out together, but I'm a huge fan of Shannon Breams. I think she'd be a great one. And someone suggested Savannah Guthrie as well. So that's an option too. Yesterday, I spent considerable time with former Deputy Attorney General Sally Yates and Senator Lindsey Graham and all the other senators on the in the Senate Judiciary Committee hearing. And I left unsatisfied, but not completely angry. But I have a friend who looks at these things in much greater depth, and her name is Tracy Beans. Tracy Beans, and it ends in a Z. It's not like an S. It's not like Eliza with a Z. It's Beans with a Z, not Beans with an S, because Beans with a Z goes Z, not S. And Tracy Beans is the brains behind UncoverDC.com. A place that you should go and visit and be smarter because of it. And Tracy Beans is joining us today to talk about many things, including the Sally Yates hearing yesterday. Welcome, my friend. How are you?
I'm good. I'm frustrated today.
Well, how is today different from any other day?
I don't know. know. I guess I wake up a little more chipper most days. I'm just very frustrated and ready to talk about this hearing yesterday. It was really just very sad, Mike. You know, I lost count of the number of times that Sally Yates told a fib under oath yesterday. One of the biggest issues with her testimony was the fact that she consistently said that General Michael Flynn lied about sanctions, or talking to the Russian ambassador about sanctions and kind of neutering the American government over the sanctions they put on Russia. Nobody pointed out that they didn't speak about sanctions on the call. General Flynn never talked to Kislyak about anything with the sanctions. It was all about expelling the diplomats from the United States and sending them back over to Russia. That's what the big to-do was. It was never about the sanctions that the U.S. government placed on the Russian government. And it's a big distinction that needs to be pointed out. And I feel like none of these guys on the GOP side know the case. They just don't know it. Like, they can't ask the right questions. They don't know how to follow up. And what it does is it pollutes the story because nobody really knows what happened, and she doesn't get challenged.
Well, the call that you're talking about, there's actually a transcription of the discussion of the call, is there not?
Yes, we got the transcript. Everybody can read it. It's available. And, you know, that's the thing that frustrates most of us the most, because even Richard Grinnell, former DNI, was saying the same thing. Is anyone going to correct this, or are they going to just let this go? And these folks should know this. They're on the Senate Judiciary Committee. They should know this stuff. And they don't. I don't think it's a case that they do know it and they're just pretending they don't. I just think they really don't know.
And of all the things not to know, why would that have been overlooked? And shouldn't there have been a Senate aide who would have sprinted in and handed Lindsey Graham a piece of paper that says she's lying about the Kislyak conversation? There was no discussion of sanctions. There was, therefore, no threat to America of a compromised member of the Trump inner circle. Shouldn't that have happened?
Yes, and they also should have had a staffer run in there and let everybody know that now that Mike Pence, Vice President Pence, understands the truth of the conversations, he doesn't think that General Flynn lied to him at all. So, you know, this whole championing of the fact that General Flynn lied to Pence and we wanted to stop him from lying, and so we had to get him out of there. That's all a big canard to cover for the fact that they wanted to get Flynn, as they said in their own words, and make sure that he wasn't able to do the job that he wanted to do for the American people. It all wraps back together. You know what I mean? If General Flynn's allowed to remain in the position he's in, we get immense changes in the intelligence community, which by extension would expose a lot of the stuff that they were doing that was not so, you know, above board, especially when it comes to Ukraine and other places. So this was really to save their butts. And General Flynn is kind of like the punching bag in the middle. And not only that, he's got a court case going on right now where it would kind of help him to have the truth on record rather than falsity.
So is there any way to get that truth on record aside from, no, you can't. The hearing's over. There could be as many as 48 other witnesses. Lindsey Graham has the ability to subpoena people to follow up on this. I suspect Comey will be one of those people to get a subpoena. Anybody else on your radar?
I'm not sure who he's going to subpoena, because at this point it seems like to me, and this is just a little speculation for everyone out there, you know, the two witnesses he's had so far were from the DOJ, Rod Rosenstein and Sally Yates, right? And it looks to me like they're there to give the DOJ cover and absolve the DOJ as an institution of responsibility for what happened during the 2016 election and beyond. It seems like the FBI is getting ready to take quite a fall as everybody kind of turns on the FBI. And, you know, Sally Yates tried to walk back what she said about Jim Comey yesterday. She said he had gone rogue in ambushing General Flynn in that meeting. She tried to walk it back, but it was on record, and that was what she was basically there for, in my opinion.
Well, for anybody who missed it, here is Lindsey Graham asking that question and Sally Yates reacting.
Did Comey go rogue?
You could use that term, yes.
Finally.
Mm-hmm.
That exhalation, that sigh from Lindsey Graham, because he got Sally Yates to say you could use that term, was maybe the only real positive from yesterday for you?
If I didn't think that was planned, yes. I mean, the whole thing looked it was just not a good hearing from folks that know this case, Mike, from people who understand what happened and really know the ins and out of it, which is a lot of people who follow me on Twitter, right? A good percentage of them. Nobody was very happy with this hearing yesterday. None of the mistakes that she made or lies she told were corrected. They kind of just let her surf on with her narrative, especially about General Michael Flynn. And nothing came of this yesterday. What did we learn? We learned literally nothing.
Well, that's other than we got confirmation of the going rogue. I see your frustrations on this. We're talking with Tracy Beans of UncoverDC.com, somebody I follow because she is focused, as you can tell, on this. Tracy, we got a couple minutes left here. Where does all of this go next? I know the Durham investigation wraps up today, correct, with a Brennan grilling, I guess?
It all depends on if that's something that you have to take the president's comments, right, and parallel them next to Delaney and Ken Delaney. And so you have to take that the way you take it. But when I interviewed Devin Nunes, he spent a good hour with us, for the podcast a few times, and we talked about this, and he said you don't need to have people in front of you in this investigation to be able to indict or to charge. So I would caution everyone out there not to read too much into the fact that he's only, in quotes, interviewed Brennan. It could be just a last-minute thing. I hope it wraps up today, Mike. I would really like to see some accountability.
Well, I would too, especially before the election, although there will be a significant push not to allow that report to come out because they will say it's politicizing it. Well, how long are we going to wait? We're going to wait till after the fact to get this story? No, I don't think so.
No, and I would kind of like push back a little bit about a report, too. Barr's kind of shut the door on that quite a bit. John Durham is not doing this activity to provide a report. He's doing it to indict, and that's the sole purpose. It's not an IG sort of an activity for him. And U.S. attorneys don't usually. But so that's a good thing, I mean, in my opinion. And, I think it's interesting to watch who Joe Biden decides to choose as his vice president, because Susan Rice just popped her head up out of nowhere a week or so ago, and she was very much involved in this entire thing. So there may be a strategic VP pick.
That's very interesting. That's why we follow Tracy Beans. That's why we follow UncoverDC.com for that last little tagline, Tracy Beans. I could talk to you all day, but we have to pay some bills and do all that stuff. But I appreciate you for getting up early and joining us here on Daybreak. Thank you, my friend.
Always an honor. Talk to you soon.
And there she goes, Tracy Beans. And here I go. We'll get back to some of the other developing stories today. I'm just glad we got that clarity on the Sally Yates thing. Apparently, I should have been a little more upset with it than I was. I'm still holding out hope for the Durham investigation. Mike Opelka in for Drew Steele on Daybreak, 92.5 Fox News.
This is 92.5 Fox News.
A crash reported in Immokalee at West Main Street, just near Hancock Street. Not causing any major backups for right now, but you will have to tap on your brakes. Also, if you are heading out in North Fort Myers, there is a crash reported at Pirates Bay and North Tamiami Trail. No delays as of right now. Hit and run crash here, as well if you are heading southbound towards Pine Island Road. Just make sure to use lots of extra caution. That's up to the minute traffic. I'm Sabrina Katz. Wink News now.
Wink Weather Authority.
For today, scattered showers and storms, typical summertime day, mixture of sunshine and those rain clouds. High temperature of 92 with our heat index over 100. With Wink News, I'm meteorologist Matt Devitt, Weather Authority.
Wink News at the top and bottom of the hour.
Tougher than plastic, harder than wood. Nothing beats the power of Steele. Drew Steele. Weekday mornings at 6 on 92.5 Fox News.
Hi, Matt Caldwell here, and we've reached the silly season in politics. It's amazing President Trump ever won any election, considering so many ads tell us that everyone is a never-Trumper. True never-Trumpers left the Republican Party years ago. Fact is, it's the candidates with nothing to offer that are still beating this dead horse. I'm Matt Caldwell, and I'm proud of my record. I wasn't afraid to stand against socialist Charlie Crist when he tried to drag our state to the left. I've stood against wasteful tax increases and bucked leadership to defend the Second Amendment. I've championed term limits and never bowed to environmental radicals. There's no doubt that I've made some mistakes along the way. Who hasn't? But I've been willing to lead the fight, and I'm not stopping now. I'm Matt Caldwell. When you mark your ballot this August, make sure you vote for the candidates that have actually delivered for this community. That's who President Trump and our republic need most of all. Paid by Matt Caldwell, Republican for State Committee.
Hey, it's Drew Steele, and yes, Ryan Hammond Painting and Contracting. I love these guys. I love the company. I can tell you personally, I've used them multiple times over 7 or 8 years. A company that's been in Southwest Florida since 2001. The great staff, the way they communicate, every idea that my wife had that she wanted to do with regard to painting and contracting, boom, just like that, they were on it. So what can they handle? How about anything to do with restoration or repair? Coatings, like the coating in my garage is amazing. They do over 700 clients annually. You don't have to take my word for it. They're one of the highest reviewed contractors for what they do, maintaining 4.9 to 5 stars, and I can see why. So you're thinking about a repaint, you're thinking about your garage floor, you're thinking about some remodeling. I'm telling you, Ryan Hammond Painting and Contracting. So give them a call today, 239-872-2559. That's 239-872-2559. See the experience that I have had with Ryan Hammond Painting and Contracting, and you will say it as well. They are the best.
Are you tired of a government for developers and special interest groups with a negative impact on our quality of life? My name is Nick Betos, and this is why I'm running for Lee County Commission, District 3. I was the first mayor of Estero and have been advocating for quality of life issues in Lee County for over 15 years. Our businesses and economy must have the support they need to recover from these trying times. Impact fees need to be reinstated to help build our roads, schools, and parks. Water quality must be our top priority. Mining expansion must be restricted. And the Conservation 2020 Fund must be used for what it was intended for, buying and preserving environmentally sensitive land. Remember to vote for Nick Betos on August 18th. Visit BetosForLeeCounty.com and Facebook at Betos for Lee County. Paid for by Nicholas Betos, Republican for Lee County Commission, District 3.
This is 92.5 Fox News.
Yes, it is 92.5 Fox News. Daybreak, Mike Opelka sitting in for my friend Drew Steele. You know, we've heard a lot of talk about mass mail-in voting, and we will get an update on what the heck is going on and what Nevada is trying to do. I'm a firm believer the president's got this right, explaining that you can't just foist a mass mail-in voting system into action 89 days before the election. It's just going to be filled with all kinds of abuse. And by the way, the president frequently references the New York congressional seat primary that the New York election officials are saying, oh, it's been decided now. Well, guess what? 84,000 mail-in ballots were just invalidated. 84,000 in a race that was decided by 3,000 or so ballots. I'm just saying. Anyone else keeping an eye on this? Yeah, I am. And you should be too. We're also looking at a very interesting story. I don't know if it got enough attention. Last weekend, there were some teenage boys, 3 of them, arrested after stealing one of their mother's cars, driving to Mar-a-Lago, jumping over the wall of the resort. And when police got to him, they had a loaded AK-47 rifle in the backpack. Hello? Now, the report on Mediaite.com says apparently the boys seemed unaware of their location. Yeah, sure they are. Sure they are. The boys are all 15 years old, so we don't know who they are, but the Palm Beach police got them. Now, the president wasn't there, thank God, and nobody was hurt or shot, but 3 15-year-olds trespassing at a club where the president is frequently spending time, carrying a loaded AK-47. Yeah, loaded. 14-round magazine. They now they officially refused to answer the questions about the weapon, but one of them said, "We found it." Yeah, like weapons like that are just laying around Mar-a-Lago. Just imagine. That story didn't get enough attention, I don't think. And this is another reason why the president says, look, if I do my speech from the White House lawn, accepting my nomination, we won't have a security issue. And he's spot on. He's dead right. So we will deal with that. There's more stuff about Joe Biden, and I have an interesting comparison of some of the finalists for the Joe Biden Veep Stakes. You know, we're getting very close to the Veep Stakes being decided between Kamala Harris and Karen Bass, the chairwoman of the Congressional Black Caucus. Maybe Elizabeth Warren. Some people say she's still in the running. I don't know. And Susan Rice, as just mentioned by Tracy Beans. So let's when we get back, let's look at some of those people. And I've got some clips that we should be mindful of when we understand who these possible VP running mates for Biden could be. There's so many things that we're going to try and get to today, and your calls as well. You're welcome to join the conversation on Daybreak. It is 239-479-5592. 239-479-5592. Mike Opelka sitting in for Drew Steele on Daybreak on 92.5 Fox News.
This is Daybreak, 92.5 Fox News.
Hey, it's Drew Steele. I have my friend TJ Meister, owner of the Floor Meisters in Naples, on the phone. And the selection, of course, at Floor Meisters is amazing. The Core-Tech that I have now in my home. TJ, I got to tell you, it is unbelievable. My wife over the moon. It's like, it's perfect. Even down to the installation. Everything was amazing, TJ.
Well, I'm glad your wife is very happy with it.
So am I.
It's softer, it's quieter, it's beautiful, real look of wood, everything your wife wanted, and you got it all taken care of for her.
And so talk about the selection that you have.
Right now we have 90 colors of Core-Tech in stock, ready to go pick up, put down as soon as you want it. Everything starting at $299 on up with lifetime warranty.
You have to love Core-Tech. You've got to love TJ and Dave Meister, owner of the Floor Meisters. If you haven't been there, go there today. 6281 Naples Boulevard next to Costco. Now, whether it's carpet, tile, laminate, or hardwood flooring, they have it all. So give them a call, 239-596-4964, or on the web at floormeisters.com.
I'm Dr. William Figelstaller, and this election cycle, you have choices. As you sit down to cast your vote, I hope you'll consider this. While all my career politician opponents are hiding behind their Washington super PACs, attacking each other and me, I've been focused on one thing, fighting for you and the conservative values we hold dear. Because tearing each other down is no way to build our country up. I'm Dr. William Figelstaller, I approve this message, and I'm asking for your vote on August 18th.
Paid for by William Figelsaller, Republican, House District 19.
Attention Florida plumbers, I need you to do me a favor. I want you to take a look down at your uniform shirt. Is the name Best Home Services embroidered on the front? If not, I have some very bad news. You're working at the wrong company. Join a team where you can create your own opportunities. Join Best Home Services. If you take pride in providing outstanding customer service, Best Home Services is where you want to be. Of course, we offer top wages, top benefits, top perks, but it's the other stuff that makes us different. You and your family deserve more. Join the team at Best Home Services and enjoy living up to the name. Best Home Services, now hiring plumbers.
92.5 WFSX Estero. It's 8 o'clock on Southwest Florida's news and talk station, 92.5 Fox News.
This Wink News Update is presented by CFS Roofing. Online at cfsroofing.com.
Now, this is a Wink News Update.
I'm Lindsay Sablon with Wink News. Today, family and friends will start saying goodbye to fallen firefighter Tony Christensen. Christensen died from COVID-19 on Tuesday. A public viewing starts at noon at Gendron Funeral Home in Fort Myers. The Fort Myers Beach mayor says the Margaritaville Resort project is now back on track. The project's been delayed for several years because of lawsuits claiming the plan was unconstitutional and would have a negative impact on the area. Yesterday, the plaintiff in the latest lawsuit agreed to drop the suit after the two sides came to an agreement. Hendry County became the first Southwest Florida school district to start the year completely online. Superintendent Paul Paletti says he didn't take this call lightly, but he's worried about his teachers, many of whom have underlying health conditions. Collier County deputies say they caught Philippus Batsios red-handed with thousands of pictures of nude children. Deputies found evidence he took a picture up a child's dress at a North Naples store back in October. Investigators say there could be more victims. Batsios was already in jail after being convicted of taking pictures of a woman showering in Lee County. If you think you're a victim or have any information, deputies want to talk to you. The Collier County School District says about 58% of its students are planning to return to school on campus August 31st. The remainder are enrolled in virtual options. The district says high school teachers will report to schools daily regardless of their instructional model. A hacker attacked the Pace Center for Girls donor database. The organization contacted its donors to tell them about the ransomware attack that happened back in May. They say the database also helps other nonprofits. The Pace Center for Girls says it has no reason to believe the sensitive personal information of donors has been breached or misused. I'm Lindsay Sablon with Wink News.
Wink News Traffic.
Traffic slowing on the interstate heading southbound for the crash at mile marker 133. This is heading towards Daniels. The delays are decreasing, but still seeing that slowdown for about a mile. So south of Colonial Boulevard, hop on Tree Line is fully up to speed. Also a crash at McGregor Boulevard and South Landing, slowing traffic just a touch at the intersection. Little tap on your brakes heading northbound to College. A crash as well at Daniels Parkway and Eagle Ridge with westbound delays starting heading westbound on Daniels to 6 Mile. That's your up to the minute traffic. I'm Sabrina Gatz. Wink News now.
Wink Weather Authority.
Rinse, repeat, another round of scattered showers and storms in the forecast for today with a high temperature of 92 and our heat index over 100. More scattered storms Friday and all the way into the weekend, which by that point looks like the majority of our rain chances would be by the afternoon and evening, so make those plans early if you want to stay dry. It's also going to be even hotter, high of 94 with our heat index in the triple digits with more of our typical August weather, scattered storms and heat into next week too. With Wink News, I'm meteorologist Matt Devitt, the Weather Authority.
Wink News at the top and bottom of the hour.
When your liberal relatives from up north come for a month, turn up 92.5 Fox News in the house, in the car, and on the radio at the beach. 92.5 Fox News. Run all along.
Let's talk about Byron Donalds. Just the facts. Fact. Byron Donalds is a never-Trumper who has repeatedly mocked Donald Trump and his policies. Fact. Byron Donalds doesn't even live in the district he's running for. But it gets worse. Fact. A Trump-hating organization based in Washington is spending millions to buy the seat for him. These are the facts. Byron Donalds is a bought and paid-for never-Trumper. Paid for by Honesty America, not authorized by any candidate or any candidate's committee.
I'm here with Mike Roberts with Mortgage Warehouse. Mike, give me an update on mortgage rates. How are things looking?
There is a lot of talk about mortgage rates these days, and for good reason. Mortgage rates are nearing the lowest levels we've seen in years. Anyone that purchased their home in 2017 or 2018 should check into refinancing their mortgage to get a lower interest rate. Give us a call at 313-5000 or apply online at mortgagewarehouse.com. You'll work directly with one of our loan officers right here in Southwest Florida. Our no closing cost program allows you to refinance with no fees out of pocket, no fees rolled into your loan, and you won't pay any Florida mortgage taxes either. If you took out a mortgage in 2017 or 2018, or you have an interest rate above 4%, or you are paying mortgage insurance, also known as PMI, call us at 313-5000, that's 313-5000, or apply online at mortgagewarehouse.com.
Certain restrictions apply. NMLS ID 137154, Equal Housing Lender.
I'm Dan Severson, Navy Top Gun fighter pilot. Spent 22 years in the Navy protecting the Constitution. Now I'm running for Congress. I am the only proven ultra-conservative in this race. I will support President Trump, and I want to be his wingman to carry on the conservative policies he has enacted that make America great. Elect me on August 18th in the primary and then in November for the general election, and I guarantee you'll get a fighter pilot in Washington, D.C. I'm Dan Severson, and I approve this message.
Paid for by Dan Severson for Congress.
Dell supports America's entrepreneurs during Small Business Month with all you need to office anywhere. Save up to 45% on computers and servers with Intel Core processors. Upgrade to new modern devices with Windows 10. Plus save on top brand tech while enjoying free shipping on everything. And special financing with Dell Business Credit. Call 877-ASK-DELL to talk to a Dell Technologies advisor who can help you find the tech that's just right. That's 877-ASK-DELL or visit Dell.com/smallbusinessdeals.
They had snuck in the night and committed these murders. Nobody had a clue about who or a why.
You got 8 people dead, and things like that don't usually happen in a small town. I mean, they don't usually happen anywhere, and it was just a real shock.
4+ years after these murders, and they couldn't have written a more sinister story than what's playing out in Pike County, Ohio right now.
Listen to the Piketon Massacre wherever you get your podcasts.
From 92.5 Fox News.
It's the stuff Southwest Florida is talking about.
It's Daybreak. Now, here's the guy at the epicenter of what's important to those of us who live in Southwest Florida, Drew Steele.
Well, it's a Steele substitute today. It's Mike Opelka sitting in for my friend Drew Steele. He will be back tomorrow and in his place as he normally is. We have a lot to get to in this final hour of the show, and you're always welcome to join the conversation. 239-479-5592. Wow, so much going on in the last 24 hours. We talked about the Senate hearing yesterday with Sally Yates. I've been talking about the president and what he has been saying about voting and mail-in voting versus absentee balloting. This massive mail-in voting push, and we are seeing it pop up at the 11th hour, in my opinion. To understand what's going on with the Trump campaign and what's happening with the attack on the legitimacy of our elections. I believe this is an attack on the legitimacy of our election, this massive, just blanket mail-in voting. I want to know what's going on with the GOP and how this is being addressed on the front lines in Nevada, where it looks like this is really a shady deal. So we reached out to the GOP, to the Trump campaign, and Mark Lotter is joining us this morning to talk about this. Mark, welcome to Daybreak, my friend. How are you, sir?
I'm doing well. Thank you for having me.
Well, we're glad you're here because the story out of Nevada, which is filled with all kinds of nefarious activities, in my opinion, of how this massive mail-in voting thing came to be. And as the director of strategic communications for Team Trump, I think you're a little closer to the real story than I am. What's going on? Where do we stand with this and the legal action that's being taken?
Well, the Trump campaign, the RNC, the Republican National Committee, and our state Republican Party are all filing a lawsuit in Nevada against this. I mean, this is an absolute attack outright. They're not even trying to hide it. Attack on voter integrity. I mean, their legislation would actually allow people to cast ballots after Election Day. I mean, how does that even, I mean, that's all you need to know. It's that crazy, you can just keep on voting.
Yeah, until we get the answer we like, right? That's kind of the way this feels. The president has said that the votes would be allowed to be counted up to 7 days after the official election day. That was challenged in the press conference. It appears to be true, or at least it appears to be one of the things they brought up when the Nevada group put this deal together. Has that been changed at all, or is that still the reality?
Well, we're still going through this process, and so obviously, it's now going to have to fall to the courts to get this done. But I mean, it's really just when you go up and down the line of the things that they have done. Obviously, the universal ballot system, where they're just mailing blank ballots out to people. We saw it during the primary. There were thousands upon thousands of blank ballots just laying around in trash cans and littering apartment complexes. I mean, think about how many people might be registered at these places, and they're not determining whether it's that your current address. They're just mailing it to everyone who's ever registered there. And we have no idea. They're also allowing paid ballot harvesters, people to go out there and basically intimidate under the guise of helping people, fill out their ballots. They're allowing people to send more than one ballot in an envelope. I mean, this just stinks to what.
Now, it does stink to you know what, and thank you for cleaning it up for radio. I appreciate that. The reality here of the naked ambition of the Democrats on this, will it have any sway in the courts, and do we have enough time to get injunctive relief ahead of the election? Because we're getting pretty close to actually the time when these ballots are mailed out.
Well, yeah, we have a great legal team, not only here at the Trump campaign, but also out in Nevada. So we're going to fight this. And I was asked to describe how what our strategy on this was for voter integrity. We're going to fight it. We're going to fight it everywhere it comes up. And I want to say, and I want to be absolutely clear to all of your listeners, we are not talking about the outstanding absentee mail-in program you have in the state of Florida. That's not what we are talking about. You fill out your application. It's verified. The state knows where to send your ballot. They know that you're the one that's filling it out. What we are talking about is what we've seen in California, in Nevada, in places like New York, where they're just mailing blank ballots to anyone and everyone who's registered. There was an indication somewhere that there was one house that had more than 80 people registered there. Because, of course, they don't clean up the voter rolls. And we have no way of knowing if the right ballot's being filled out, who's filling out the ballot. Is it even the person who was intended to vote that filled out that ballot? Some states, they're actually trying to do away with voter signature requirements. I mean, there are so many problems with this, but Florida is not one of them. So when you hear us talking about that, no, we're not talking about you.
Yeah, Florida has time-tested, and so have a few other states. There's a handful of states that have done this successfully over years and actually have protections for the integrity of their elections built in. But this slapdash effort to try and get this shoved in everywhere just stinks to high heavens. And I only need to point to the place that the president has pointed to for the last couple of days, and that's New York City in the primary mess, where we now, according to the New York Post today, 84,000 mail-in ballots were disqualified. 84,000 out of 403,000. That we're almost up to a quarter of the ballots being disqualified, and that could easily happen in every one of these places that doesn't have protections. I hope we get clarity on this soon. And Mark Lotter, you're one of the people I follow on Twitter because I appreciate your very clear and concise information. So I'm glad you're out there, and thanks for clearing that up for us, sir.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me, Mike.
And there he goes. What a set of pipes on that guy. Great set of pipes on Mark Lotter, Strategic Communications Director. He also worked for the vice president for a while. He was the press secretary for the vice president, if he sounds familiar. But there is a lot going on out there. I also think it's fair for us to point out what's going on with Joseph Biden. yesterday there were more questions brought up about Biden and his mental acuity. And it had to do with Biden and how he addressed a reporter who asked him about his mental state, about taking a test. And Biden kind of snapped at the guy when he was asked about his mental fitness.
Why the hell would I take a test? Come on, man. I am very willing to let the American public judge my physical and mental my physical as well as my mental fitness.
Easy for you to say. You're what, sir?
No, I haven't taken a test. Why the hell would I take a test?
Yeah, we know. Your physical and mental.
I am very willing to let the American public judge my physical and mental my physical as well as my mental fitness.
Very easy for you to say. And one of the biggest podcasters in the world, the guy who kind of says he's more of a libertarian than anything else, even though he's spoken in favor of Bernie Sanders, Joe Rogan, podcaster, former sitcom star. Wasn't he the guy from not The Biggest Loser? There was a game show on NBC where you had to eat stuff. They would give you disgusting things to eat and tough challenges. I forget what it was. One of the early reality.
I can't remember. I'm trying to remember for you. I'm sorry.
Yeah. I know, Jake. We're all having a brain fart today. We're having a Biden brain fart. That's what that is. But Joe Rogan's podcast spoke very clearly about the vice president. And he said this.
I believe there's an also large group of people that are very uncomfortable with a man who seems to be mentally compromised winning the election and doing so by hiding. I mean, the guy's never, he was just at another thing the other day and he forgot where he was.
Yes.
I believe.
Yes, we all believe that. Joe Biden, hiding Biden, they called him yesterday on the cover of the New York Post. Hiding Biden. Here's a guy who wants to be president. He's currently leading in polls, if you believe the polls, and I don't, because they're weighted heavily against Republicans. And a lot of us won't answer pollsters. So it's interesting. Now, what about his vice presidential candidate? That really comes into a lot greater focus, doesn't it? Joe Biden's VP pick. It was down to 4 yesterday. Some people are saying it's 3 or 2 today. I'm going to step aside. And when we come back, I will give you some examples of each one of Joe Biden's final 4. And maybe Ryan Seacrest should host a show where we have a countdown or a competition voting between the final 4 to see who becomes the winner of the Joe Biden Veep Stakes. We'll give you Kamala, Susan, Karen, and Pocahontas just around the corner. Mike Opelka in for my buddy Drew Steele. And we'll talk to you, Phil, too, in Estero. So hang on. I want to get your update on the Durham investigation. Mike Opelka in for Drew Steele on 92.5 Fox News.
This is 92.5 Fox News.
Traffic slowing on the interstate heading southbound from the crash at mile marker 133. This is heading towards Daniels. The delays are decreasing, but still seeing that slowdown for about a mile. So south of Colonial Boulevard, hop on Tree Line is fully up to speed. Also a crash at McGregor Boulevard and South Landing, slowing traffic just a touch at the intersection. Little tap on your brakes heading northbound to College. A crash as well at Daniels Parkway and Eagle Ridge with westbound delays starting heading westbound on Daniels to 6 Mile. That's up to the minute traffic. I'm Sabrina Katz. Wink News now.
Wink Weather Authority.
For today, scattered showers and storms, typical summertime day, mixture of sunshine and those rain clouds. High temperature of 92 with our heat index over 100. With Wink News, I'm meteorologist Matt Devitt, Weather Authority.
Wink News at the top and bottom of the hour.
Blah, 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 blah. Gear up for the liberal loudmouths at work. Drew Steele, mornings on 92.5 Fox News.
Hi, Matt Caldwell here, and we've reached the silly season in politics. It's amazing President Trump ever won any election, considering so many ads tell us that everyone is a never-Trumper. True never-Trumpers left the Republican Party years ago. Fact is, it's the candidates with nothing to offer that are still beating this dead horse. I'm Matt Caldwell, and I'm proud of my record. I wasn't afraid to stand against socialist Charlie Crist when he tried to drag our state to the left. I've stood against wasteful tax increases and bucked leadership to defend the Second Amendment. I've championed term limits and never bowed to environmental radicals. There's no doubt that I've made some mistakes along the way. Who hasn't? But I've been willing to lead the fight, and I'm not stopping now. I'm Matt Caldwell. When you mark your ballot this August, make sure you vote for the candidates that have actually delivered for this community. That's who President Trump and our republic need most of all. Paid by Matt Caldwell, Republican for State Committee Man.
Home is truly where the heart is. CFS Roofing Services understands that. When I saw what CFS did for my neighbor's roof, I called them. Everyone was professional, and owner David Crowther has nearly 4 decades of experience. It's obvious they care.
CFS Roofing Services, where your home matters most. Visit cfsroofing.com or call 239-561-2600. I'm David Crowther, and I approve this message.
Majority Leader of the Florida House, Dane Eagle.
This is Dane Eagle. My desperate opponents are attacking my conservative record with lies and distortions. Let's set the record straight. I'm Dane Eagle, and I have the strongest record against illegal immigration in this field. I voted against tuition for illegals 3 times. As Republican Majority Leader, I blocked the Democrats' attempt to give them driver's licenses and worked with Governor DeSantis to expand E-Verify and ban sanctuary cities. Sure, I supported Mitt Romney over Barack Obama in 2012. So did President Trump, and I bet you did too. I'm Dane Eagle, and I'm the only person in this race to stand with President Trump on the Second Amendment. I sponsored nearly 20 bills in the Florida House to protect and defend your right to keep and bear arms. I'm Dane Eagle, and I approve this message because it's the truth. I'm being attacked by Washington insiders and self-funders because they have no record of their own. I'm Dane Eagle, and I'm asking for your vote.
Thank you, Dane.
Paid for by Dane Eagle for Congress.
Hey guys, this is Larry King. Are you sick and tired of prostate pills that don't work? I've got great news for you. I had prostate problems that were driving me nuts. I tried several different natural products. None of them worked. One day I heard about Prostagenics. It beat over 157 other prostate supplements in independent lab tests and was rated #1 most powerful prostate supplement in the world. So I got some Prostagenics, and boy, am I glad I did. Now my prostate troubles are a thing of the past. I sleep like a champ. I feel like I did 20 years ago. Do yourself a huge favor. Do what I did and get yourself some Prostagenics.
Prostagenics comes with a 90-day money-back guarantee, so you can order absolutely risk-free. So go online or call 800-600-2020. 800-600-2020. If you call in the next 6 minutes, you can get a free bottle with a Larry King TV special. 800-600-2020.
Pick up the phone right now.
Building a dream takes hard work, discipline, determination. Casey Asghar started with nothing, but his hard work created jobs. His discipline shaped a community. His determination built an American dream. Those same qualities built our nation. And to rebuild our economy, we need them now more than ever.
I'm Casey Asghar, and I approve this message. My family came to America to pursue the American dream. We owe it to our children to keep the dream alive.
Paid for by Casey Asghar for Congress.
This is 92.5 Fox News.
All right. You can stop texting. Jake and I are both embarrassed. I'm more embarrassed than anyone because I should have known. But you guys got it right. The vast and unpaid resource department here at Daybreak with Drew Steele. But Drew's not here today. It's me, Mike Opelka. They're writing in. They're texting Jake on his personal cell phone. I didn't get any on mine, though. People calling in saying, Joe Rogan was the host of Fear Factor. How could you have forgotten that? Apparently, fear is not a factor to you. Yeah, we forgot. A brain fart. That's all you could say. We had a Biden moment. That happens. It happens. We couldn't come up with Fear Factor.
We did have a Biden moment.
We did, like this.
I am very willing to let the American public judge my physical and mental my physical as well as my mental fitness.
Nice.
Fear Factor. Fear Factor was one of those programs that you went, really, really television? This is what you're going to do? We're eating steamed cow testicles. That's how bull testicles. That's how we're going to decide whether someone gets $100,000 or not. how many they can eat and too many. It's just insane.
What a great program to watch with your family as you eat dinner.
Yes, it was family mealtime television. Just amazing stuff. But, now here we are today, and we have 90 Day Fiance. We have the Little People shows. It's the Housewives, Little Housewives. I'm sure we've got addiction shows. I'm watching Icelandic and Swedish detective shows at this point. There's so much time that I need to stay away from bad television. I literally am watching Swedish detective shows where you have to read what's going on. So I'm watching murder mysteries on. Yeah, I know, it's crazy. Phil is on the phone wanting to weigh in on yesterday's Sally Yates hearing at the Senate Judiciary Committee and also talk about the Durham investigation. Phil, welcome to Daybreak without Drew Steele. How you doing?
Thanks for taking my call, Mike. I can't take any more of these political Houdinis. I don't remember which senator it was towards the end of yesterday's session, but he literally trapped her into admitting that she told Horowitz that she had not reviewed the FISA warrants before signing them, but then yesterday said that she did. So first question that comes to my mind when she says that is, if that was the case and she said that to Horowitz, why wasn't he immediately referring her for prosecution for submitting a FISA warrant that she didn't review?
Well, that may be the case that she will get taken into or made to account for that. He may be wanting to finish his investigation before all this because you don't want to tip your hand, and so as we understand. It's as frustrating to me. This thing seems to be moving at a glacier-like pace, just crawling along. And as we look at the election getting closer and closer, we still don't have a resolution over what was done in the lead up to 2016. And then even after the election, when a duly elected president of the United States had what appears to be a choreographed internal campaign to destroy his presidency and ruin some of the lives like people like General Flynn. It is maddening, and it's also maddening that I've run out of time. I'm stepping aside for a quick break. Mike Opelka with you on the Daybreak without Drew Steele. I hope you'll hang out and join us for the rest of the program. It is 239-479-5592 on 92.5 Fox News.
This is Daybreak, 92.5 Fox News.
You know the problem in Washington? Too many politicians are full of should. They should keep promises, should serve the people, should avoid corruption. But when it's time to deliver, it's just a load of should. Then along comes Donald J. Trump, and the DC insiders, they lose their should. Byron Donalds is a lot like Trump that way. Donalds is willing to shake things up. You could take Trump's word for it.
I want to thank Representative Donalds. He's got a tremendous future ahead of him.
Now Byron Donalds is running for Congress. Donalds fought for low taxes in Tallahassee. He'll keep fighting to protect your paycheck in Congress. Donalds backs term limits. And Donalds stands with Trump to defend our police. Conservative Republican Byron Donalds for Congress. He'll make a difference in Washington. No should. Paid for by Club for Growth Action. Clubforgrowthaction.org and not authorized by any candidate or candidates committee. Club for Growth Action is responsible for the content of this advertising.
How often has your wealth advisor contacted you throughout the pandemic? Markets have moved up and down, and laws around retirement plans and inheritance have changed quickly. We've heard from too many people at other national financial firms that they've been contacted rarely or not at all. At the Naples Trust Company, our clients enjoy a one-on-one relationship with their investment and fiduciary team members, each of whom are locally based and meet regularly with clients for in-person or virtual visits. This personal touch is a trademark of the Trust Company. We make it a point to know you, your family members, and the goals that are most important to you. Are you ready for a better experience? Call us for an appointment at 239-774-4000 or visit NaplesTrustCompany.com to discover the difference.
A division of the Sanibel Captiva Trust Company. Investments involve risk and are not guaranteed.
Conservative businessman Kevin Ruane knows what it takes to balance a budget, create jobs, and grow an economy, and has the record to prove it. As mayor of Sanibel, Kevin Ruane put his conservative principles and business experience to work. He cut taxes more than 26% while slashing debt and rebuilding the rainy day fund. He'll do the same thing as our Lee County Commissioner. Kevin Ruane knows that to get our economy back on its feet, we need to keep our businesses open, and he'll fight to do so. And he believes in individual liberties and personal responsibility. That's why he fought against government mandates forcing you to wear a face mask. Kevin Ruane knows our water quality is directly linked to our economy. He's worked with Washington and Tallahassee to get the funding needed to reduce Lake Okeechobee discharges. He's proven himself as the clear choice to get results to restore our local waterways. Let's put Kevin Ruane to work for us to create jobs and fix our water quality. Paid by Kevin Ruane, Republican for Lee County Commissioner, District 1.
Fox News, I'm Lillian Wu. More of the president's financial information might be in the hands of New York prosecutors than previously revealed.
Manhattan District Attorney Cyrus Vance Jr. has been investigating 2016 hush money payments made to two women who say they had affairs with President Trump. The New York Times reports that Deutsche Bank complied with a subpoena it was sent last year by Vance and turned over financial statements the president gave the bank when he was borrowing money. This week, Vance's office told a judge that it was a, quote, complex financial investigation that followed public reports of extensive and protracted criminal conduct at the Trump Organization.
Fox's Tanya J. Powers, President Trump's denied wrongdoing. And first-time jobless claims coming in for last week at 1.186 million. That is lower than the estimate of 1.4 million. America's listening to Fox News.
This Wink News update is presented by Stevie Tomato Sports Page in Fort Myers, Cape Coral, and Naples.
Now, this is a Wink News update.
I'm Lindsay Sablon with Wink News. Today, family and friends will start saying goodbye to fallen firefighter Tony Christensen. Christensen died from COVID-19 on Tuesday. A public viewing starts at noon at Gendron Funeral Home in Fort Myers. The Fort Myers Beach mayor says the Margaritaville Resort project is now back on track. The project's been delayed for several years because of lawsuits claiming the plan was unconstitutional and would have a negative impact on the area. Yesterday, the plaintiff in the latest lawsuit agreed to drop the suit after the two sides came to an agreement. Hendry County became the first Southwest Florida school district to start the year completely online. Superintendent Paul Paletti says he didn't take this call lightly, but he's worried about his teachers, many of whom have underlying health conditions. Collier County deputies say they caught Philippus Batsios red-handed with thousands of pictures of nude children. Deputies found evidence he took a picture up a child's dress at a North Naples store back in October. Investigators say there could be more victims. Batsios was already in jail after being convicted of taking pictures of a woman showering in Lee County. If you think you're a victim or have any information, deputies want to talk to you. The Collier County School District says about 58% of its students are planning to return to school on campus August 31st. The remainder are enrolled in virtual options. The district says high school teachers will report to schools daily regardless of their instructional model. A hacker attacked the Pace Center for Girls donor database. The organization contacted its donors to tell them about the ransomware attack that happened back in May. They say the database also helps other nonprofits. The Pace Center for Girls says it has no reason to believe the sensitive personal information of donors has been breached or misused. I'm Lindsay Sablon with Wink News.
Wink News traffic.
Traffic slowing on the interstate heading southbound from the crash at mile marker 133. This is heading towards Daniels. The delays are decreasing, but still seeing that slowdown for about a mile. So south of Colonial Boulevard, hop on Tree Line is fully up to speed. Also a crash at McGregor Boulevard and South Landing, slowing traffic just a touch at the intersection. Little tap on your brakes heading northbound to College. A crash as well at Daniels Parkway and Eagle Ridge with westbound delays starting heading westbound on Daniels to 6 Mile. That's up to the minute traffic. I'm Sabrina Gatz. Wink News now.
Wink Weather Authority.
Rinse, repeat, another round of scattered showers and storms in the forecast for today with the high temperature of 92 and our heat index over 100. More scattered storms Friday and all the way into the weekend, which by that point looks like the majority of our rain chances would be by the afternoon and evening, so make those plans early if you want to stay dry. It's also going to be even hotter, high of 94 with our heat index in the triple digits, with more of our typical August weather, scattered storms and heat into next week too. With Wink News, I'm meteorologist Matt Devitt, the Weather Authority.
Wink News at the top and bottom of the hour.
The antidote to the anti-conservatives. 92.5 Fox News. Right all along.
It's Big Al from Stevie Tomato's Sports Page. Do you feel American pride and want to shout, God bless America? As a son of immigrants who came through Ellis Island, I stand when the national anthem plays and get emotional thinking of those who have sacrificed for America's greatness. At Stevie's, we're filled with gratitude for our great customers and the country we live in. The firemen, police, emergency service, construction workers, and those who go about each day providing the foundation for our country. We love our customers and express our gratitude with our food, service, and value. Thankful for your dedication for what you do. And to all our great customers, show your love for this great country by going to any Stevie's. Stand at the bar and say loud and clear for all to hear, God bless America, and I'll buy you a 10-ounce beer. Restrictions apply in Cape Coral, Fort Myers, and Naples. God bless America.
Stevie Tomatoes, Sports Page. Come for the food. Stay for the sports.
Trust. It's the rock-solid foundation of Moran Wealth Management. Over 40 years ago, they began advising clients on ways to help meet their financial goals. 4 decades later, we've helped many reach their goals of providing for themselves, their families, and future generations. CEO Tom Moran has assembled an impressive team of professionals, each committed to the same core concept. Tom is recognized by Barron's as a Hall of Fame advisor. To be named a Hall of Fame advisor, the advisor has to have been ranked by Barron's consecutively for the last 10 years in any of their rankings. Let us earn your trust. Call 239-920-4440 or visit moranwm.com. Barron's rankings are based on data provided by thousands of advisors. Factors included in the rankings were assets under management, revenue produced for the firm, regulatory record, length of service, quality of practice, and client retention. Investment products and services are offered through Wells Fargo Advisors Financial Network, LLC, WFAFN, member SIPC. Moran Wealth Management is a separate entity from WFAFN.
This is 92.5 Fox News.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is. 92.5 Fox News, Daybreak without Drew Steele. Drew will be back tomorrow. Mike Opelka sitting in for my friend Drew Steele. And I have to get to something here. I watched and watched the news yesterday, and there was one story that kept popping up, and it was out of Seattle, where 5 protesters have filed a lawsuit to get paid for equipping themselves to protest. These are people who are saying that because of the violent actions of law enforcement, they have to buy protective gear. And so they want to be paid to exercise their First Amendment rights. I have questions about this, and as such, I have called in one of my friends, great legal mind, Wendy Patrick. She's a prosecutor, she's an attorney, she's an author, and she knows the law inside and out. And you can find out more at wendypatrickphd.com if you care to know. You've seen her on Fox. She's everywhere. Great friend joining us this morning to discuss the situation in Seattle with this crazy lawsuit. Wendy Patrick, welcome, my friend.
It's always such a pleasure, Mike. Thank you for those great introductions.
Always. You know, you bail me out of so many situations where I'm in over my head in terms of legal and legal knowledge. Now, the story I want to get to first will lead me to another story. It's the story of the rioters or protesters, depending on which side of the aisle you're on, in Seattle, who have filed a lawsuit demanding compensation because in order to protest, they say they need protective gear, expensive protective gear. And because of this, they're complaining that their First Amendment rights are being compromised. And in order to successfully exercise their First Amendment rights, they have to have this gear. And it looks like the suit's going to go forward. And I have a particular interest in it, but I also have a real interest in maybe seeing them succeed. And I think the answer will surprise you. Have you looked at this story?
I have, and you really queued it up well, because the protesters are filing this lawsuit basically saying they can't afford to protest. It's one of those things where it depends on how you look at what's going on, because if you look at it from law enforcement perspective, there are people that are saying we should be able to riot, because you don't see, at least the argument goes, tear gas and gunshots and all types of other things in peaceful protests. Now, that's a very charged issue, because peaceful protesters aren't the ones that are causing the problem. It's those that come in and hijack the peaceful protesters and turn them into riots. And some of the incidents that are being cited in the lawsuit, remember, that has to do with when they basically destroyed the precinct in Seattle and some of these other things. So it's one of those lawsuits that everybody's going to watch, because we still have protests going wrong, let's just say, to sort of sweep in all of the issues around the country as we speak.
Yeah, and I'm watching it for all of those cities to see if there will be either a class action suit from all the protesters in all the cities. Can they enjoin them all? And then how do you put a dollar amount on it? Do you say, okay, we've got 2,000 protesters. That means we need 2,000 helmets. We need body armor, right? And it just seems insane to me that you would, if you're saying you're a peaceful protester, that you have to have this. But I guess part of their claim was the cops fired first. And
well, here is what's interesting, Mike, about this particular complaint, and this is why there's no one size fits all, which makes maybe a class action less likely. This complaint specifically mentions the events, for example, of July 25th. That is when they're saying the petitioners were subject to this unmitigated violence of the Seattle police. Now, remember that date, Mike. That was the date when at least 59 law enforcement officers were injured, when rioters blew a hole through the wall of the East Precinct, which included, of course, more looting, destroying businesses, buildings were burning. So that is not an example. I don't think anybody would argue that's an example of a peaceful protest. But you can have examples, perhaps, of other peaceful protests where maybe there was excessive force that's used. So each one is so individualized that it would almost be far more difficult to generalize the problem than maybe to have individual lawsuits, as burdensome as that is from a legal perspective.
So no class action, but individual lawsuits, depending on what the arguments are, may go forward. And we'll have to see if judges in different jurisdictions will allow them to go forward. Now, as I mentioned, I have a little bit of me that says I want these guys to win this lawsuit. And it's not because of my addiction to the First Amendment and my dedication to making sure people can speak freely, even if I disagree with them, but it's more in line with the Second Amendment and the fact that every single jurisdiction in this country has different rules and regulations for the Second Amendment. For example, if I want to have a firearm in the state of Delaware, I can file all the appropriate paperwork, and there is a fee to file the paperwork to get a license. If I want to carry it concealed, if I want to have that weapon on my person but not visible, I have to file a paperwork. I have to get 5 people to write statements of character support for me, and I have to also pass a background check. Plus, and there are fees with every single one of these, I have to take a class. Now, I don't mind being trained, but the state requires me to spend at least $800 in classroom fees and training in order to accomplish this. And that to me says that's an onerous fee that's over and above what should be guaranteed by what is written in the Second Amendment. And so do I have any standing, Wendy? If these guys win, do you think I'd be able to transfer that kind of thinking to my Second Amendment argument?
You always have such creative, out-of-the-box ideas. I mean, I used to say you should be a lawyer, but I think you should be the ones that are advising attorneys the kinds of interesting legal arguments they might see as a result of lawsuits like this. I mean, we're breaking ground with some of what we've seen this year, so it's almost impossible to determine what may or may not have legal legs. But you and I both know that when a lawsuit is filed, unless it's completely meritless, it proceeds at least to a point, which gives lawyers the opportunity to embrace creative arguments on both sides. So I know that your listeners and your followers online are no doubt thinking, looking at each other right now, thinking, I'd never thought of that. So never say never to any of these arguments that might progress from suits like this and the consequences of being able to bring suits like this. Now, it's also another reason that we're going to follow this very closely, as well as lawsuits like this, which will no doubt be filed in other jurisdictions. You know that we talk about the copycat effect. That doesn't just apply to mass shooters and suicides. You have things like this, lawsuits especially, where people get ideas, good or bad, from things that have been done in other jurisdictions. And because these riots, these protests, these whatever you want to call them, are taking place across the country, we may see more of these.
Yeah, I think we are. I'm going to watch it just because if they win, and I don't want them to, I really don't want them to get paid. I don't want the taxpayers.
Yeah, you're torn on this one.
Oh,
You've got a stake in both ways. That's right.
I've got one arm pulled one side, one arm pulled the other side. Before you get out of here, Wendy, I didn't ask you about this ahead of time, but Thursday, Mayor de Blasio announced that he was going to be setting up checkpoints at every entry to New York City, at the bridges, at the tunnels, at the train stations, at the airports, and people are going to have to show their papers and admit to where they came from before they will be allowed. And if not, he will fine them up to $10,000 if they don't agree to a 14-day self-quarantine if they are from one of the 31 states that he has identified as virus hotspots. Does this even have a snowball's chance in hell of going forward? Or will some judge somewhere go, God, come on, pal, cut it out?
Well, some judge somewhere will definitely be asked to have some sort of a ruling on it. But, you know, it reminds me of similar laws that were similarly stringent, implemented or at least attempted to be implemented by New York as well as other states. What you don't hear a lot about after the initial announcement is exactly how lucky they have been in getting these things passed and then enforced. Because remember, they're well-meant. They're maybe even logical to an extent, but on the enforcement side seems to be where things fall apart. Let's follow this one, especially given that it's so far down in the pandemic. Remember, we had a lot of these at the beginning. And let's see how that enforcement is working out, because you can't have that kind of a bottleneck going into such a large city, because that's what you would need, wouldn't you, to actually have this be enforced in any kind of a practical matter.
Yep, we'll keep an eye on it, and that's why she's our pal, Wendy Patrick. Go to wendypatrickphd.com to find out more. Thank you, Wendy.
Always a pleasure.
And there she goes, Wendy Patrick, a great legal mind. You've seen her. She writes a lot of stuff in, I always want to say Cosmopolitan, but it's Psychology Today. Maybe that's an insight into my own brain. But that whole story about suing for your First Amendment rights, what about suing so we can go to church? What about suing so we can actually see our family members? It's just insanity. But if that does get passed, if a court decides that it is illegal or it is the responsibility of the city to pay for protective gear, then I think we have standing to say that our Second Amendment rights cannot be pressed upon with so many onerous fees. All right, I'm stepping aside. If you have a 239-479-5592. Mike Opelka sitting in for my buddy today, Drew Steele on Daybreak. It is Fox News, 92.5 Fox News. We'll be right back.
This is 92.5 Fox News.
For today, scattered showers and storms, typical summertime day, mixture of sunshine and those rain clouds. High temperature of 92 with our heat index over 100. With Wink News, I'm meteorologist Matt Devitt, Weather Authority.
Wink News at the top and bottom of the hour.
Serving up a tray load of truth today on 92.5 Fox News. News and smart views.
Hey, it's Drew Steele here, and hurricane season, you know, it's upon us, and it's supposed to be a pretty active season for 2020. Get peace of mind from my friends at Generator Supercenter, the #1 Generac automatic standby generator dealer in the nation. You don't have to sweat the next outage. I've had my Generac for years. It is amazing. Get your free estimate on your Generac automatic standby generator today, in time for hurricane season, with expert installation and 24-hour monitoring. Generator Supercenter. Give them a shout at 204-3469. That's 204-3469 for Generator Supercenter.
Local elections. What about this Matt Caldwell guy?
Caldwell, who wrote in his own words that he would never vote for President Trump.
I hear Caldwell wants to be elected to both Republican State Committee and Lee County Property Appraiser.
He's running for 2 offices?
Yes, Caldwell is running for 2 offices.
Is that legal?
Yes, but it doesn't mean you have to vote for him.
Everglades Trust called him corrupt Caldwell for the millions he took from Big Sugar.
Caldwell refuses to vote for Trump, takes big bucks from Big Sugar, and now he runs for 2 elected offices. Is Caldwell serious?
Caldwell is serious about opposing President Trump and serious about taking big bucks from Big Sugar?
I won't be voting for Caldwell for either of the offices he's seeking this year.
Glad we have candidates who back President Trump running against him in the primary. Vote no when it comes to Matt Caldwell.
Paid for and approved by me, Chris Crowley, for Republican State Committeeman, the conservative choice for Lee County.
The team at Best Home Services understands that this is a time of much uncertainty and much unknown. With this uncertainty comes feelings of fear and panic. Please know that we are here for you today, tomorrow, and into the future as we move forward together, safely and comfortably. We are all in this together, and as stewards of our community, we promise to continue to provide you the services needed to keep you and your family safe. You are not alone. Best Home Services, our family protecting your family.
Conservative Ray Rodriguez shares our values, and he's fighting to deliver results. Ray Rodriguez stood with President Trump to ban sanctuary cities in Florida and hold government officials accountable who refuse to enforce our immigration laws. He also worked to pass E-Verify to protect American jobs and make it harder for illegals to find work. And he stood with President Trump to defend our Second Amendment rights. Conservative Ray Rodriguez worked with Governor DeSantis to grow our economy, cut taxes, and create jobs right here in Southwest Florida. When Governor DeSantis needed him, Ray Rodriguez delivered billions of dollars for water quality projects that will clean up our local waterways and reduce harmful Lake Okeechobee discharges. Ray Rodriguez understands water is our state's most precious resource and has been steadfast in prioritizing clean water. Ray Rodriguez is the trusted conservative we can count on to deliver results in the Florida Senate. He's 100% pro-life, stood with President Trump to fight illegal immigration, and delivered results in the fight for clean water.
I'm Ray Rodriguez, and I'm asking for your vote.
Paid by Ray Rodriguez, Republican for Florida Senate.
This is 92.5 Fox News.
It is 92.5 Fox News, Daybreak without Drew Steele. Mike Opelka sitting in for Drew today. He'll be back tomorrow. Let's try and get to a couple of calls before we get out of here. So many of you have joined us today. We appreciate it. 239-479-5592. Earl in South Kakalaki. Earl, welcome to Daybreak. How are you, my friend?
I'm great, Mike. First time I've talked to, I used to play tennis with Trey, and then we used to live down that way. My question was two things. One question, basically, and then with one other point. How are they going to enforce these rules if they defund the police? Who's going to enforce these rules is my question. If the police are already busy and crazy with stuff, how are they going to where are they going to get people to enforce these rules that you were just talking about with that young lady, that if they do them? I mean, I don't understand how that works exactly.
You mean New York City? How are they going to enforce people at the border? Yeah, they're going to have every tunnel, every bridge. And I used to take the train from Wilmington, Delaware to New York City 3 times a week and back. And there are tens and hundreds of thousands of people who ride trains of various kinds in and out of New York City every single day. They all have to come through, and you will have to show your papers in order to get into the city. It's insanity, Earl. It's just flat out crazy, but it just shows you that these people are control freaks. And de Blasio wants to put 31 states under this rule. 31 states right now. It's insanity, and I think that's what they're going for. They want chaos. It's a chaos theory that they're trying to put into effect. They can't do it. They won't get anywhere. It'll get tossed out. But it's just de Blasio throwing stuff. Remember, this is a guy who told people you couldn't assemble for funerals, but he got a couple hundred people on the streets to paint Black Lives Matter outside of Trump Tower with nobody wearing masks and stopping traffic and all that stuff. These people are clowns. And we have to keep pointing at them and saying, you're funny, now go find the circus. And that hopefully will happen in November or earlier with voting. Thank you, Earl. And stay safe, my friend. We appreciate you. Jumping over to Naples and Tom. Tom, welcome to Daybreak. You might be the last caller of the day. Tom? He dropped. Tom was not the last caller of the day. He had a question about why can't we sue Antifa? I wondered why we can't sue Black Lives Matter. They do seem to have some kind of a structure right now. If they do inspire violence and vandalism, they should be allowed to be sued. But you know what? They're hiding. If you go to the Black Lives Matter page and you click on the donate button, you will see that it takes you to a Democratic-run nonprofit. So that when you support Black Lives Matter, which, by the way, is a Marxist organization, just want to put that out there, Marxism. And if you follow me on Instagram or Twitter or Facebook, you will see that I am not into Marxism. And in fact, I am a very powerfully committed capitalist, and I post a quote about capitalism virtually every single day. And so you should follow me to get the post. I might, if I have time here, I will give you a sneak peek of today's capitalist post because it is credited to the great Walter Williams. I'll tell you, let's just go to von Mises. Von Mises had the statement that socialism is an alternative to capitalism as potassium cyanide is an alternative to water. There's your capitalist comment of the day for all those socialists out there. I have to say thank you, Jake, for keeping me on the rails and making this thing smooth today. And thank all of you. And Drew will be back tomorrow on Daybreak on 92.5 Fox News.
This is Daybreak, 92.5 Fox News.
I'm Dr. William Finkelstaller, and this election cycle, you have choices. As you sit down to cast your vote, I hope you'll consider this. While all my career politician opponents are hiding behind their Washington super PACs, attacking each other and me, I've been